and back in the game.
Welcome to MsMojo, and in this installment of Verses, we'll be taking a look at our favourite rom-coms from the 1990s and 2000s and deciding which decade makes us say,
You complete me.
We'll be evaluating a wide range of categories to determine the most romantic decade and answer that all-important question. Are you more Team Julia Roberts and Richard Gere, or Kate Hudson and Matthew McConaughey? If we missed any of your favourite rom-com criteria, let us know in the comments below. Round 1. Stars. When you think of 90s romantic comedies, odds are you think of the stars first, and there were plenty of them. It was a time when big names like Julia Roberts and Richard Gere, or Tom Hanks and Meg Ryan could put butts in seats for just about any movie they starred in together.
We better go. Shall we?
We associate 90s leading ladies like Julia and Meg and Sandra Bullock and Drew Barrymore with rom-coms in a way that just doesn't happen anymore. And frankly, we miss that type of star power and would do anything to get it back.
You're so fun to be with. You're smart. You're crazy. You are. You rock my world.
That isn't to say that the 2000s, particularly the early 2000s, didn't have some heavy hitters.
You're beautiful.
You look pretty good too, Sparky.
The likes of Kate Hudson, Jennifer Lopez, and Matthew McConaughey all had their times to shine.
Steve likes the movies. Steve had the night off. Steve said, hey, you know what? A movie sounds good. Plus, he got an invitation.
Why is Steve referring to himself in the third person?
But while a few broke through in this decade, so many rom-com stars from this era, Renee Zellweger, Hugh Grant, Sandra Bullock, just to name a few, are holdovers from the 90s.
It's funny how things come back in style.
Just finishing up the buttons.
And as we got further into the decade, those stars became fewer and farther in between. So much so that a romantic comedy is unlikely to be a star-making vehicle today. While we love our 2000s rom-com stars, the sheer power of the 90s is too much to ignore.
I wanted it to be you. I wanted it to be you so bad.
Winner, 90s 1, 2000s 0. Round 2, love triangles. The love triangles in the 1990s were generally a little more complicated than your standard love triangle.
I like Jack,
Who's Jack?
Peter's brother.
So?
So he thinks I'm engaged.
To who?
To Peter.
They feature situations like falling in love with the brother of the comatose guy you were pretending to be engaged to, or leaving your fiancé for a guy you have never met.
Walter, I don't deserve you.
Nah, I wouldn't put it that way. But, okay.
And of course, the classic move of trying to sabotage the wedding of your best friend and his much younger fiancé. These stories were anything but par for the course, and we always enjoyed the complex human emotions they brought out.
Choose me. Marry me. Let me make you happy. That sounds like three fairies, doesn't it?
However, if the occasional complex love triangle was popular in the 90s, they simply blew up in the 2000s.
I gave my heart away a long time ago. My whole heart. And I never really got it back.
They weren't always as interesting, but the sheer volume of them gave us much to consider. Whether it was Reese Witherspoon stuck in the middle of Josh Lucas and Patrick Dempsey, Michelle Monaghan choosing between Kevin McKidd and Dempsey again, Jennifer Lopez caught in between Matthew McConaughey and Justin Chambers, or Diane Keaton torn between Jack Nicholson and Keanu Reeves. Seriously, Keanu should have been the clear winner in that one.
Men my age, or at least the ones I've met, well, look, I'm not that regular person, and they like regular.
Men your age may be really stupid, Jim, or anything about.
Other than that sheer mass of content, the 2000s also gave us an updated version of an iconic love triangle in the Bridget Jones's Diary movies. And for that, we will be forever thankful.
Whose side are we on?
Mark's, obviously. He's never dumped Bridget for some naked American.
And he said he liked her just the way she is. Yes, but he also nicked Daniel's fiancée and left him broken-hearted.
Good point. It's a very hard one to call.
The 90s may have given us a few unforgettable love triangle moments, but the numbers alone take the cake in the 2000s.
Wow. So this is what this feels like.
Winner 2000s 1, 90s 1. Round 3. Famous quotes. Are you
Just a girl. Standing in front of a boy. Asking him to love her.
You might not be, but we bet you can tell us where that incomparable line comes from. Notting Hill isn't the only 90s rom-com that has a famous quote that's endured along with the film itself. How many of us heard someone say,
Just shut up. You had me at hello.
before we watched a tearful Renee Zellweger say it to Tom Cruise at the end of Jerry Maguire? How many of us have wished we could channel our best Julia Roberts and say,
Big mistake. Big. Huge. I have to go shopping now.
to a salesperson who does us dirty at a department store? These quotes have stood the test of time and will continue to do so. As for the 2000s,
I like you very much. Just as you are.
while there are a couple that we could probably throw into a Hall of Fame, this decade has nowhere near as many bangers as the 90s. We love Sweet Home Alabama's very sweet and sassy.
What you want to be married to me for anyhow?
So I can kiss you anytime I want.
But that might be one of the only ones worth remembering. It seems as star power dwindled a bit in the 2000s, so did the iconic lines that make a star, well, a star.
Waiting for you is like waiting for rain in this drought. Useless and disappointing.
Sorry 2000s, but one ain't gonna cut it. The 90s take this round in a sweep. Winner 90s 2, 2000s 1.
I'm in love with you.
I am so in love with you.
Round 4, Best Friends. A necessary staple of the rom-com is the best friend, and said best friend wears many hats.
Underplay.
Got it. Hey! I'm Jules' fiancé, George. Just in time for a quick pre-conjugal visit, if you catch my drift.
I do.
You're gonna humiliate me, aren't you?
Only if I can.
They offer some necessary comic relief when the going gets rough. They're available to give our main character a pep talk or a kick in the butt when they need it. And their main goal in life seems to be to help the protagonist find love.
It was right. It was real. It was
A movie. That's your problem. You don't want to be in love. You want to be in love in a movie.
In the 90s, we got a good smattering of Hall of Famer best friends. Rupert Everett might take the crown for the very best and most charming friend there's ever been in My Best Friend's Wedding. Rosie O'Donnell offers necessary words of wisdom in Sleepless in Seattle. And Dave Chappelle more than provides the comic relief in You've Got Mail.
I'd be crazy not to turn my life upside down and marry her. She could be a real dog, but good luck.
These are all great 90s rom-com sidekicks, but the 2000s brings the heat as well. You've got Katherine Hahn in How to Lose a Guy in 10 Days, Frances McDormand in Something's Gotta Give.
The whole over 50 dating scene is geared towards men leaving older women out. And as a result, the women become more and more productive. And therefore, more and more interesting.
But the reigning queen of 2000s rom-com best friends must be given her due. Judy Greer threw heat as a side character in a multitude of 2000s rom-coms. 13 Going on 30, The Wedding Planner, and 27 Dresses, just to name a few.
Tell me that crazy crush is the reason you work as hard as you do, because it's upsetting.
Despite making a name for herself as always landing these types of roles, Greer manages to bring something special to what could easily be a number of throwaway parts.
You're hot, you can get any guy you want.
Biatch. Not to mention Biatch, the hottest magazine editor in the world.
Second hottest.
Tied for first?
Deal.
And by the power vested in Judy Greer, the 2000s edges past the 90s in this category.
Maybe I could buy you a drink later.
It's an open bar. Maybe I'll buy you a drink.
Winner 2000s 2, 90s 2.
Before we continue, be sure to subscribe to our channel and ring the bell to get notified about our latest videos. You have the option to be notified for occasional videos or all of them. If you're on your phone, make sure you go into your settings and switch on notifications.
Round 5. Dramatic declarations. A dramatic declaration of love is what makes a rom-com, and the 90s gave us some of the best examples we can think of.
May I have 5 minutes on the clock, please?
Sometimes we even got 2 in one movie, like Kat's emotional poem and Patrick's Frankie Valli dance in 10 Things I Hate About You.
Hey, oh pretty baby, now that I found you, stay and let me love you, baby, let me love you.
In 1990s rom-coms, people were always doing things like running down someone in an airport or train station, overcoming their fear of heights and climbing up fire escapes to profess their love, or meeting strangers on top of famous New York City landmarks. If there was one thing they were going to do in these movies on the love declaration front, it was go all out.
You didn't have to.
Yes, I did.
Why?
Because I love you.
It's not that the 2000s didn't have some very memorable grand gestures on the books.
Bonita Aurelia, eu vim aqui para te pedir para casar comigo.
If we're being honest though, the 2000s are a little more keen to go the small, sweet route, like Colin Firth buying Renee Zellweger a new diary in Bridget Jones's Diary.
How to make a new start, perhaps.
It's a lovely moment, as is the scene in Sweet Home Alabama, which even adds in that oh-so-romantic but oh-so-cliched rain. However, nothing compared to some of the showstoppers of the 90s.
Kate, why don't we take one of these?
They're for tourists.
Sorry, she doesn't seem interested.
The 2000s may have made us all a little bit more realistic, but the 90s is the sure winner when it comes to dramatics.
It's not every day you find a girl who'll flash someone to get you out of detention.
Winner, 90s 3, 2000s 2. The victory margin may be narrow at 3-2, but it looks like the 90s were the definitive decade for romantic comedies.
Well done!
Well done!
Do you agree with our picks? Check out this other recent clip from MsMojo and be sure to subscribe and ring the bell to be notified about our latest videos.